So Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 2 just came out, and it is somehow even better than Episode 1. It picks up right where we left off at the end of Episode 1 with Sung Jin-woo in the ice forest in the Red Gate dungeon, and he is summoning all of the bears that he just destroyed, and now they're in his army of undead shadow dudes, and it's just legendary as always. We do find out though that Hunter Kim, the A rank who is supposedly the leader of the group to go into the Red Gate, who, split apart from Jin-woo and the other E rank, he is still alive, although all of his other companions are dead because, according to him, it's because they didn't have any gear, they couldn't survive the cold. So when he finds out that all of the super weak hunters that he just kind of pushed off to the side are both still alive, thriving, and have gear, food, and shelter, he's pretty pissed off. When he sees Jin-woo, he puts it together that Jin-woo is the leader, that somehow he's stronger, and this dude is just fully psychotic at this point, so he just starts going after Jin-woo, and it's no problem for Jin-woo. He just throws him off to the side into the snow, and now he's got to deal with all of the ice slayers. First he dealt with the ice bears, now he's got the elves that, of course, want to kill him. They were using stealth mode, trying to sneak up on Jin-woo. Of course, he notices them, he calls them out, and they make themselves known. Now, there is one elf there that very clearly wants to fight Jin-woo. It's the elf that fired an arrow at him at the very beginning of Episode 1 that Jin-woo, of course, caught. The boss of the ice slayers says to Jin-woo, he's like, hey, I'm the boss, so basically I need to fight you, but also this guy here really wants to fight you because he thinks you're incredibly strong. And before he can even finish the sentence, Jin-woo just decapitates the other elf. Not the boss, just the other one. Just no problems. They're not even going to be a problem for Jin-woo. But the boss, he thinks that the boss is going to be a bit of an issue. Now, this is the final boss for the entire Red Gate dungeon, so if Jin-woo beats him, then it ends. They can go home, go back to Hunter Beck and Hwang Dong-soo, who is out there still wanting to kill Jin-woo, except at this point he's starting to get a little bit antsy, and it's like, okay, at this point he's an A-rank hunter, he's gotta be dead. Despite this, he still thinks that something is going on with Jin-woo where he is stronger than just a normal E-rank, but he's pretty confident that he's dead, and he eventually leaves the outside of the Red Gate. However, that doesn't happen until Hunter Beck and Dong-soo have a bit of a falling out, because Dong-soo is getting pissed about what's going on with Jin-woo. He knows that something is being kept from him, and this guy very clearly has a little bit of anger issue, so he starts attacking the other members there until Hunter Beck steps in. It's at this point that we see a tiny bit of Hunter Beck's transformation. I mean, he is one of the 7 S-rank hunters in the entire world, so we all kind of knew that there was more to his power, and he kind of grows claws and his face changes a little bit, cluing us in that the S-rank hunters are significantly stronger than we can even imagine. I mean, up until this point, we haven't seen any of them in action, and we obviously see a lot of Jin-woo fighting, but we don't know if he's fully on the level of S-rank at this point. It's very clear that he's way above A-rank, but S-rank, we don't know yet. And the game system itself doesn't think that Jin-woo was on the level of S-rank, because the whole point that the Red Gate even occurred is to keep Jin-woo safe from Dong-soo, because the way the Red Gate works is no one can enter or leave. So naturally, as soon as Dong-soo got to the gate, it became a Red Gate, keeping Jin-woo safe from him. So we can logically assume that Jin-woo isn't quite on the level of S-rank, and even if he is, a fight between him and Dong-soo would be too close for the system to keep Jin-woo safe. But this transformation of Hunter Beck is really, really cool. It's something I had heard had been left out of Episode 1 because the chapters that Episode 1 covered already had that in, so I'm glad we still got to see it, and I think it being in this episode was done much better than if it had been in Episode 1, because at this point, the tensions are starting to rise, we're starting to feel the pressure of what could happen with Dong-soo and Hunter Beck and how powerful they can be, and I think that this episode was the better time to put this pivotal scene. Now, back inside the Red Gate, Hunter Kim is still, completely knocked out, essentially, over in the snow. He's not doing anything right now, and then the other weak hunters that Jin-woo has been protecting are running away, which is the right thing to do, because they are going to be completely useless in fighting the Ice Slayers. Jin-woo summons his army of bears, knights, mages, and of course Igris the Blood Red Knight, and they begin fighting the army of Ice Slayers. Jin-woo notes that the boss of the Ice Slayers is going to be incredibly strong, and that realistically, he's probably stronger than Jin-woo in a one-on-one fight. Thankfully, no fight with Jin-woo is a one-on-one, and he's got his entire army to aid him. What I thought was really interesting is the Ice Slayer boss seems to be very similar to Jinwoo in terms of fighting style, because he is also using a like dagger style weapon that's just like this long, and he's just holding one of them, very similar to Jinwoo's weapon of choice. He does seem to fight quite a bit more aggressively than Jinwoo does, but overall they fight very similarly just in terms of style. Despite Jinwoo saying that he thinks the Ice Elf boss scales much higher than him, he's doing very good. I mean, Jinwoo's taking, I think, next to no hits in the entire episode. He's just kind of dodging and weaving. And eventually, all of the other Ice Elves are dead, and it's just the boss left behind. And the fight boils down to the Ice Elf boss, Ice Slayer, Ice Elf, whatever, against Jinwoo, Igris, and Hunter Kim, but not exactly. It's at this point that Hunter Kim has woken back up, and now he is furiously charging towards Jinwoo because he is blaming him for all of his failures. However, we get a very interesting scene that initially left me very, very confused, but that was definitely the point, where the Ice Elf boss and Hunter Kim are both charging at Jinwoo from opposite directions, and then out of nowhere, a massive summoned shadow like soldier of Jinwoo's just appears, one we've never seen before, and then just strikes down the Ice Elf. Now it does give us a bit of a rewind, and we see what actually happened. Pretty much Igris impaled Hunter Kim right before the Ice Elf got to him, and as soon as he impaled him, Hunter Kim dies. Jinwoo says arise, and then boom, he immediately becomes just this massive golem of a soldier fighting for Jinwoo, and Jinwoo names him Iron. I think it's pretty interesting that a dead A-rank hunter that has been resurrected through Jinwoo's necromancy is significantly more powerful than he was when he was alive. And not only is he more powerful, he's significantly stronger and taller. Like, the dude is a giant. And this makes the fight against the Ice Boss significantly easier, and it doesn't last much longer, and it ends with Iron just pummeling the Ice Elf and just hitting him to death with his hammer. Now, unfortunately, Jinwoo is unable to acquire the undead spirit of the Ice Elf boss because he's just too strong, so Jinwoo uses all 3 attempts and he fails. So he does get the weapon that belonged to the Ice Elf, but overall, he says it was a largely fruitless mission. Of course, the Red Gate then closes since the boss is defeated, so then Jinwoo and the other hunters leave. Now, of course, Hunter Beck is still there. At this point, Dongsu has left. He got a message on his phone, so he said he had to go deal with something. So thankfully, Jinwoo is safe for now. But naturally, Hunter Beck has a few questions for Jinwoo, but Jinwoo brushes him off and kind of intimidates him in a way. I can imagine it's pretty hard for an S rank to be intimidated, but Jinwoo does as close to that as you can do. So Hunter Beck decides to leave him alone and tells the guy who works for the White Tiger Guild that under no circumstances can Jinwoo not be a part of the White Tiger Guild, that they must recruit him no matter what it takes. Then Jinwoo goes back home and he kind of just talks about the mission, just kind of reflecting on how he wished he could have gotten the Ice Elf boss as his own soldier, which would be absolutely great. That would be by far his strongest unit. But more importantly, he reflects on how he killed Hunter Kim, and this is now the 3rd time that he has had to kill another human in cold blood. The episode ends with us getting to see Gino again, and they just drive off onto another mission. I'm assuming they're just going to complete more gates. So overall, this episode was just baffling. The animation just continues to be some of the best stuff I've ever seen, and the story, some people like to crap on the story, like say that Solo Leveling is carried by the action and the animation and the fights, but I personally think the story is very interesting. It's not anything completely revolutionary or like mind-bending, but it's just a good quality story that I can easily enjoy. I will say I was definitely surprised to see that the Red Gate ended this soon. I thought this was going to be a much longer ordeal, but I was totally fine with the conclusion. I mean, the final fight with the Ice Elf boss was, I mean, I don't know what else I could have asked for. That was as good as it gets, pretty much. So overall, this episode was even better than episode 1 somehow. And it was definitely better than Sakamoto Days episode 1, which just came out a few hours ago for me, and I loved that episode too. So Solo Leveling is on a generational run right now. Season 1 was incredible, like easily a strong 8 to a light 9 out of 10, but this season is on pace to somehow surpass that, which I didn't think was going to happen, but here we are. So let me know what you thought of Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 2, because like if you don't think that was absolutely incredible, you need to like go to the doctor. You've got something going on. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end of the video. I really, really appreciate it. If you don't mind subscribing, it would mean a lot to me because TikTok, my main platform, is getting banned. So I've got to kind of bring the income level up on YouTube. So if you would subscribe, that'd mean a lot to me. But if you don't, it's totally okay. I understand. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.